Hi there, welcome to Boxing Deep Dive. We've got an awesome show for you tonight. It's too many to actually go off by myself. I'm going to bring in my co-hosts, which is, as always, Grant Tazzie Brown and Peter Maniatis. How are we, fellas?
Great to be on the show, Lyndon.
I'm good, Lyndon. I've got Mike out Tamura as
I love it.
represented tonight, the jacket.
Yep.
Gave it to me today, mate, so thank you, Mike, from Pro Bellum.
Yeah, that's a nice looking jacket.
At least you got it right, Tazzy.
I did.
Pro Bellum, yeah.
Pro Bellum. Well, as I said, guys, we've got a massive show tonight. So much going on in the world of just not Aussie boxing, but international boxing. We've also got a special guest tonight, the manager of Team Tszyu 2, about to be Team Tszyu 3. Glen Jennings will be on the program a little bit later to discuss what's happening with Tim and obviously the signing of his younger brother Nikita, which was announced this week. So really looking forward to talking to Glenn. And guys, yeah, so much going on. We've had changes to cards, opponents, shows added, fights taken off. It's been all happening, Tazzy.
Yeah, look, it's massive, mate. I mean, Australian boxing's alive and well, and yeah, mate, it's next year's obviously looking exciting already. 222.
Yeah, it is, and Pete, it's been dormant. We've spoken about this for the last few episodes, but the boxing scene here has been so dormant for the last couple of years, bar probably No Limits pay-per-view shows. But all of a sudden, it's just a tidal wave of fights happening.
Yeah, it is. I mean, the whole world's in a similar position in different fields as well. So boxing's no different, and everyone wants to get out there. And it's good that the fighters have kept active during these difficult times with gyms being closed and what have you. And it's just a boxing game. You can put it on its bum, but it bounces straight back up. And that's what I can't recall what year it was, but the New York, what governor at the time in 1928 said, look, don't worry, boxing won't be around too much longer, so we don't have to worry about the underworld figures. Well, that was in 1928, so it's still around now. So here we are.
Well, as boxing fans, obviously we're over the moon with what's happening, and so much to discuss tonight, especially on the Aussie scene. Let's get into it. We've got about 20 minutes before we talk to Glenn. But Tazzy, speaking of Team Tszyu 3, we'll call it now. How exciting is it that younger bro is now in the mix?
Yeah, I'm personally so wrapped. I remember Nikita as an amateur. He won 4 Australian championships, 2 schoolboy and 2 junior. And I've seen him win a couple of nationals, and he's just a freak. He's a southpaw, so much skill. And look, when Tim was out of boxing for a while, all the talk was Team Tszyu. I mean, it was Nikita Tszyu.
Yep.
It was all Nikita for a while, and then he obviously went out of it, and then Tim turned pro, and the rest is history. The freight train that Team Tszyu's on, right now. But I mean, yeah, look, I messaged Nikita the other night. I said, mate, I'm so happy you're just too good a boxer not to box. And he's wrapped. He said he feels stronger than ever. He's sitting down on his punches now. He's finally got that man strength now. So he's 23, I think. Just so much talent, mate. And look, sometimes the genetics doesn't get passed on with famous fathers. But look, mate, with Costa, both his boys, Tim and Nikita, both are stars, mate. And Nikita's going to do it all in boxing. He's the same weight as Tim, and it's just awesome. I'm so personally, as you know, I'm so close to the Tszyu family. I'm really excited. It's just awesome news.
Yeah, it is, mate. And just as you're speaking there, we've got a little bit of vision of Nikita there. There's a little bit online of him, but this is one of his amateur fights back in 2014. I was actually lucky enough to be at this tournament, and this is probably the only time I've seen, or it is the only time I've seen Nikita. And I remember looking at him and thinking this kid can fight. He's got all the moves. Obviously a southpaw. Got the range of typical, almost the Russian style. They've always got that distance. Yeah. They've got the range. They're so sharp with the punches and just had it all. I remember I think he had 3 fights over there and just pretty much made all the opponents look a bit silly, to be honest. But yeah, it's like you said, mate. It's a great news that he's actually going to fight because far too much talent to go to waste, Pete.
Yeah, I remember at the Calabria Club when Tim and Nikita both fought. I can't remember what year it was. We actually got the tapes of the event, went home, watched both of them about 3 or 4 times, And if I had a checkbook, I would have signed Nikita before Tim, to be honest. I just think that he's a bit more of a pro. He's a bit lower. He punches a bit more sharper. He's a bit more shorter in the things that he does. And he just seems to have a bit more natural ability than Tim. That's what I saw as amateurs. Obviously now Tim's gone ahead and he's one of the stars of boxing. But it took Tim a few fights to get to where he is now. It just didn't click his fingers. When we had him at Bendigo, I think that was the start of him going to the next level, because he did have some tough fights with Wade Ryan and guys like that on the way up. But yeah, Nikita, he just looks a natural to me. And, maybe having that time off from being an amateur now and actually doing a bit of schooling, he's going to miss the sport even more, because he took time off, he partied with his friends and, didn't really want to commit to boxing. And now he's 23, he's a man, he's got the partying and all that stuff out of the way. He's ready to cash in and make some money as well, because obviously he's got the name, he's got the amateur background, he's got the ability, and obviously now he's got a good team behind him. So would be very surprised if he wasn't successful.
Yeah, and Tazzy, I've never actually met him personally, but he looks like he's got a bit of swagger about him too, hasn't he?
Yeah. As I said, he has, and as I said, I remember, obviously him and Tim both when they were kids, when I was up with, with their dad. But I mean, as I said, when I see him at the Nationals, I seen him in two national titles, and he just had everything about him. And I said then, I remember I was messaging Costa in Russia saying Nikita's just phenomenal. And look, he's got a great team behind him. Obviously, Glen, and Igor, obviously grandfather Papa Boris, and with no limits, I assume. Mate, he's destined for greatness. And yeah, look, I just can't wait to see the journey. And Tim told me about 3 or 4 weeks ago, he said keep it quiet, and I did. But he said Nikita's turn around.
You told me about 2 or 3 weeks ago, didn't you? And I can't keep a secret, but I kept that one. So,
that was hush. But I mean, I was so wrapped, for him, because I just knew how much talent he had, and look, the Tszyu name's living on well and truly, and I'm just so happy. They're both great guys. And Glen's a great manager, and look, they're going to do it all. I'm really happy for Nikita and Tim, obviously.
And Pete, I reckon there'll be a few high fives around the No Limit office this week. They struck gold with Tim, and I think they've struck gold again with Nikita. Team Tszyu 3, and the next one coming through.
Yeah, and obviously now Tim might be taking fights abroad, so. There's a new instant signing that just, obviously he's not going to do it straight away. It's going to take a couple of years and do the background. But here's a guy in 3 or 4 years' time that could headline cards around Australia as well. And look, I'm pretty sure he's got the goods. He's pretty in depth. I mean, he was at Tim's last fight, and Joel told me, he said, he's turning pro, this Nikita. And Joel knew as well. Obviously, we all just kept it a secret. Because I've always seen him around, and I always thought that he was a guy that, one day will turn pro. There's no doubt you don't leave that all in the basement. He's gonna want to come out and have a fight, especially with his brother doing so well. But yeah, look, it's going to be interesting. I mean, look, the pro ranks are tough ranks. There's no beg your pardons. That's what it is. I mean, as Marvin Hagler used to say, the referee's just there really for me to stop me from killing the person that I'm fighting. So that's how the pros work. They're not the amateurs. So it's a street fight with clubs. There's no beg your pardon. So he's going to have to switch on, and I'm sure he will. And it's, we're all excited to see what's going to happen.
Yeah, no, 100%. Well, let's obviously talk to Glen in a few minutes about that. But before we wait for Glen, let's get back to the big story of the week, even bigger than this one, is Lopez Kambosos finally getting it on this week, Tazzy.
Yeah, I done I was approached by someone to do a video Cheerio message, I think they're getting a few boxes to do it, and I sent her just to, go get them, George, and you deserve it, and done a video message, mate. So look, we've been talking about this for a while. It's finally come. He's been, put aside so many times. He's been over there for so long, and pretty fiery sort of press conference today, which you expect nothing less. And Lopez's dickhead dad carried on at the gym, and I think George's dad was going to give it to him. But I mean, look, It's a tough fight. Obviously, Lopez is, I think, a special fighter, not just a fighter, but a special fighter. But George, he's there for a reason. He's beaten 2 former world title world champions in their own backyard. He's hungry. He's geez, if anyone believes in himself, it's this guy. Like, he really does, and I believe it is true. There's no trying to put it on for the cameras. I think he does believe in himself. He's very, very fast. He's very obviously hungry, and mate, he's there. So I mean, this weekend at Madison Square Garden of all places. I mean, you can't even dream these stories. I mean, he's there fighting in Madison Square Garden. So, mate, good luck to George. I hope he brings it home. And if you're an Australian boxing fan and you're not watching this, supporting this guy this weekend, then I don't know about you, because this is huge. This is the undisputed lightweight championship of the world.
Yeah, it's not just any old title, but Pete, just watching the press conference today, and I know he's done it in the past, George, but he just makes his habit of getting right up in the face and puffing their chest out to Lopez to show him he's not intimidated. And I just saw today, I think he's almost putting the doubts in Lopez's head, because you can just see him take almost a little half step back, thinking this guy's for real and he's here to fight.
Yeah, look, I mean, you go through Kambosos. He's been on the road before. He's won close fights. He's got the warrior mentality. We know he's got the Spartan blood, and that just tells you everything. They don't say how many. They just say, where are they? So he's got that mentality. He's going to come and fight. He won't be intimidated. I actually got a call today from the Sydney Herald Sun, and I said, how'd you get my number? They said, Dean Lonergan.
Yep.
And I said, what's this about? And they said, well, we heard you've got to contact Manny Pacquiao because we want to get a quote from Manny Pacquiao about George Kambosos' chances. And I said, mate, I can't do that, but you can have Sean Gibbons' contact. So I've given him Sean Gibbons, so I'm sure Sean will give him a nice message. But when you get a guy like Kambosos who's sparred 150 rounds with Manny Pacquiao, he's not a jaffer, because, you spar 10 rounds with Manny. If you're no good, you're on the first plane back to where you came from. And for him to keep 3 training camps, Manny's a professional. So for him to start with 3 training camps with Manny, he's hung tough. Yeah. And this will bring him in good stead. If you can have 3 training camps with Manny Pacquiao, you can hang with Lopez.
Yeah.
Well, we just saw a bit of a vision of Freddie Roach on screen there for those watching, and in his quote in it was that he can go all the way, and he obviously would have seen 90% of the spars he's had with Manny, and for him to say that's great praise. But Tazzy, all things aside, we're all obviously patriotic Aussies, and we all want him to win. Realistically, though, has he got a chance to win?
Look, I'm not going to beat around the bush and say things I don't think. When it comes to boxing, you put your heart and your feelings aside from what you think. My mind says he gives it a hell of a go, but he doesn't win it. That Lopez, and like I'm rooting. This is just for talking straight talk, and that's what you want from me, obviously.
Yeah.
I want him to win. I'm wrapped on what he's done. I've seen him as an amateur. I was in the corner against him, at the Olympic trials with Luke Jackson. So I'm, bringing it home, George. But I've got a feeling that Lopez is not your normal champion. He's not just some guy who's got a belt. Everyone's a champion to become a champion, but sometimes there's special guys. I think he's a special fighter, and I don't think George has enough to get him over the line. I think he lacks that bit of power to hurt Lopez. I think Lopez is a devastating puncher, even though it's not all about power in boxing. But I just don't see George. I think with Lopez and like that, you need to take his confidence away from him. I don't think George has that. He's not Lee Selby. He's not, the other bloke that he beat. He's a different fighter. And I think unfortunately, Lopez beats him. That's just my honest opinion.
Yeah, no, fair enough, mate. What about you, Pete?
I give George a massive chance. I think he'll rise to the occasion. He's 5'8.5". He's a big,
he looks a lot bigger,
strong
doesn't
guy. And I think he's gotten ahead of Lopez. And I just think he's going to, it's going to be a war the first 3 or 4 rounds. I think George can stay on top of him, and I think George can win the fight. I really do. I think this is George's coming out party. I think the rounds he spent with Manny, he's going to start believing in himself. He needs a challenge. He's undefeated, so he does know how to lose. And I think he's won the battle already. He's already got in Lopez's mind. Lopez is saying it's going to go one round. We know that's crap. There's no way. And I've seen Lopez dropped in sparring. I mean, he's been dropped by right hands in sparring. So, he's a good fighter. He's nothing to worry about. If you can spar Manny Pacquiao, you can fight Lopez. Don't worry about that. He ain't no Manny Pacquiao. I tell you that.
Nah, Peter, I totally agree with the cancer Pacquiao, but sparring is still different, mate. It's different to a fight. And
but I'm saying he's been in three training camps with Manny on form.
I know.
Obviously, bookmakers have got Lopez as the favourite, and he's $1.10, so that is not a problem. But I mean, look, he's a proud Aussie kid, and he's gonna go up there, and he's gonna fight his heart out. I'm telling you that
100%.
now.
100%. No, look, 100%.
And he's going to be in Lopez's face. He ain't going to be taking a backward step. He's not going to be passive, and anything can happen. So I'm staying positive for George because he's a great guy. Jimmy, his dad's a very good friend of mine. I'm pretty good close to the family. We always catch up in Melbourne. He's always asking. We're always chatting. And it's going to be a great story once it happens. And if it does happen, I guarantee if he wins, we'll get George on the show. We'll get him here.
Speaking of Jimmy's dad, as Tazzy mentioned before, there was a little bit of an altercation. We almost had senior versus senior, Cambosa senior versus Lopez senior at the workouts. I'm going to put it on now. If apologies for the language, but let's have a look at what happened.
You're gonna get your ass kicked. First round, baby. You saw that shit, right? You saw that shit.
One thing I will say about right here, though, is that what's typical about society these days, you can see he instigated it and then cried victim when it didn't really go his way.
No, he's just like Angel Garcia.
Yeah.
Danny Garcia's dad. They're fucking dickheads. I've done a post on Instagram today. They're gooses the way they carry on. And I bet you they never had a fight themselves. Like, mate, let the boys fight. Like, I don't mind a bit of banter, but this is ridiculous, mate. It's about the fighters. He's a goose, and so is Garcia.
Yeah.
Angel Garcia.
A lot of them the same. And one of our talking points later was actually discussing about the fathers in boxing. But as I said, like you can see him charge over to Jim, gets in his face, actually lays hands on him as well. And when Jim retaliates, he cries victim. So, what are you going to do? But
typical weakness, mate.
Yeah, one thing, Pete, you don't mess with the Greeks, do you? Especially when there's family involved.
No, look, Jimmy's just a good guy. I mean, he's a passionate guy. He'll stick up for himself. He's not going to get stood over.
Yeah.
So, the guy's charging at him and puts his hands on you. If someone does that, as far as I'm concerned, that's game on.
Yeah.
Someone's charging you and raising hands on you, it's game on.
Yeah, well, you can see there as well that I was going to say, Teofimo is trying to do an interview, and he's saying, Dad, just relax, just chill. It can't do a lot for Teofimo, who's trying to, getting his head right, and obviously by this stage he's cutting weight pretty tough as well. To have your father carrying him like a bloody clown at a public workout or whatever it was. I just don't see it as being productive to
I think they're used to it. Danny Garcia put up a lot with his dad, as you remember, especially with the Zab Judah incident. That was pretty bad. Mate, they're used to it. And they're all Latinos too, a lot of these guys. I don't know what's with them and what they drink, but I mean, they're a bunch of dickheads the way they carry on. Like, they're bad for boxing. I said, I've done a post on Instagram today about it. They should all just, it's not good in my opinion. It's a big turn-off for me. I don't like it.
Yeah, no, I agree, mate. Well, let's get away from that one because, I'm sure it'll play out on Sunday, and all the best to George. Hopefully he gets...
As I said, I just wish him all the best. I'm just making my pick as in boxing and what I think, not personal.
Yep.
I want him to do it as much as everyone, but I don't see how he can do it, but I hope he does anyway. Yeah,
all right, well, let's move on for that. Again, best of luck to George on the weekend. We hope you get the win. We're going to go back to our lead story in the Aussie news, which was the news of course, little bro, Nikita Tszyu, turning professional. Been lucky enough to get the manager of Team Tszyu. I was about to say Team Tszyu 2, Glenn, but it's now Team Tszyu 3.
Yeah, we talked about that, Lyndon. It's an interesting one. There's been a few suggestions, but we went with something a little different just to make it easy, and we just went with Team Nikita Tszyu.
Yeah, no, I like that, mate. Well, welcome to the Boxing Deep Dive, mate. I know you've been doing the rounds this week. There's been plenty of attention on it, but mate, you've obviously had this in the wins for some time. Tazzie's known for weeks apparently, but must be great to get it out there. And I said before, it's great to actually have Nikita turn pro. I seen him fight as an amateur a few years ago, and way too much talent to go to waste. So it's great to have him finally turn pro, and obviously under your banner.
It is, mate, and Tazzie would have got a bit of a sniff of it. And look, Nikita took a big chunk of his time out to do his architecture degree, and so with that out of the way, it was always inevitable that the flame would fire up again. So it was just a matter of timing, mate. And of course, Timmy had his big fight, and we wanted to make sure that we stayed clear of that. So yeah, straight afterwards, we got together and made the announcement.
So there's a picture of you with the boys, of course. You must be pretty proud, because I'm sure you're like a father figure to them as well over there. But was this more of a case of Nikita saying, hey, enough of this shit with Tim getting all the attention? It's about time little bro stepped in and got some as well.
I should say hello to Pete Maniatis. I don't want to leave you. G'day,
Oh,
Pete.
Sorry, Glenn. Yep.
Hey, Glenn, how are you, buddy?
Yeah,
Haven't seen you for a while. Haven't seen you for a
Hey,
while.
Glenn.
mate.
Hi, brother.
You probably got sick of me.
It's always good to be with you, fellas. Let me tell you. Look, Lyndon, that's funny. That's actually funny, but I've had a joke with him about that. I said, it's got nothing to do with the architecture degree, really. At the end of the day, you came along to Tim's fight before Takeshi and got up in the ring with us and got a feel for it. So,
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? I think that's one of the first times I've actually ever seen him in the rooms, in the ring. I know he's probably always been around, but is that the first time he's sort of stepped out and sort of been part of the Tszyu team?
yeah, really, it is. Like, again, credit to these guys, Tim and Nikita. There's something about these guys. Their dedication to what they're doing at a particular given time is 110%. And Nikita switched off from boxing so he could focus on architecture, which is a tough gig. 5.5 years at uni to get his degree, and he wouldn't let anything get in the way. So he stayed away from boxing really just so that he could concentrate on what he had to do. And as soon as it was over, I remember when I spoke with him, he said, I'm just so much pent-up energy and I'm sick of sitting in front of computers. I need to get back to the gym and start punching on. And then he came to the fight and had an absolute cracker of a time, and he's been with us ever since, and he's back with Igor, working every day now with Igor, and Igor's tasked to bring him along ready, and we've picked February to debut him, February 2022, to throw him in the ring for his first pro fight.
Oh, that's great, mate. Tazzy, I'm sure you've got a couple of questions for Glenn there.
Yeah, Glenn, how are you, buddy?
I'm good, mate. Always good to see you.
Always good to see you too. Yeah, look, I always knew that he was too good not to be boxing. I mean, I remember him as a junior. I think he won four. I think he won 4 national titles, 2 junior, 2 schoolboy. And I remember in Tasmania, he won the title, I think 2012 as a junior. And I messaged Costa, and I said, look, mate, he's looking so good. And Tim wasn't boxing at the time. It wasn't about Tim. Nikita was the one everyone was on about, and how good he was, and he's a left-hander. And as I said, and then so I always knew that he was just too good to not be doing what he's born to do. And then we've seen Tim go on under your guidance, and we're one fight away pretty much from a world title. And I mean, I was so happy that he's finally done it. When Tim told me about 3 weeks ago and on the hush, and I said, mate, that's awesome, and felt like I was just part of it. Like, I'm so excited because it's just good to see, like, it's just so exciting. Like, we've seen Tim and now we're seeing Nikita, and I know what he can do. It's just awesome.
It is, mate. I think with what Nikita brings to the party is a whole new concept of what Tszyu delivers. And, of course, we had Kostya, and then we have Timmy, who's the thinking fighter, the high IQ, the tactical guy that will literally pick you to pieces and happy to take you right through, but he'll ultimately wear you down. Whereas, from Nikita's reputation in the amateurs, and it's not really changed much, Nikita's a bit of a killer. His idea of boxing is to take the guy out as quick as you possibly can, regardless of how you have to do it. And that's the difference. And he's got dynamite power in both hands, and he's a southpaw. So it's a whole new adventure in terms of comparing them to the other boys. But, yeah, super exciting. And I think it couldn't have come along at a better time because obviously now we're moving on with Timmy to the international stage and we won't see as much of him in Australia anymore. And so bringing Nikita along as Tim transits off on the international stage, it may well just serve to fill a void. And hopefully Nikita can spark that excitement that keeps us all excited about what we've done in the last 4 years in boxing. So it's just great for everyone, the way I see it. It's great for Nikita, it's great for the Australian fans, and it's another zoo to jump on board and follow through his career.
For sure. Go
And,
ahead there,
and
Pete.
when I was
Tazzy.
talking to Tim, even like over the last couple of years, like he's always speaks so highly of Nikita, and like, you know, obviously, and he even said like once or twice he come out of the blue without training, jump in and flog whoever sparring. Like he just had that natural ability still. He just goes, he's a beast. Like Tim sort of, when he speaks about Nikita, like doesn't speak like he's his little brother. Like he speaks to him so much respectful. I know Tim knows what Nikita's capable of, and I think Tim will be very excited. Another question too, Glenn, before I hand it over to Peter. Will he be on the undercard of a show, or will he be main event, or like will he be like
Good
on
question.
Will it be a big show in February? Is there any idea what show it's going to be on?
It's a good question, and look, I've made my point fairly clear on this that it has its difficulties when you bring someone like Nikita into the pro ranks when his brother's on such a high wave, and so my job is very importantly to manage not just what he does for fighting, but I've got to get him through that process. So my plan is very similar to what we did with Tim. And we will start him on a lower level, and we'll bring him along at a reasonable pace. And even as of now, I'll keep the media away from him. We're not doing interviews. We're not getting involved in all of that. He's literally a zero record rookie coming into the pros who's done nothing. So whilst the hype's there and whilst the interest is there, that's wonderful. But Nikita will be judged purely on what he does in the ring. So Igor and I had a good chat about it during fight week, and we all agree that it's better that Nikita focuses 100% on the craft. 6 years out of the ring, Tazzy, it takes a bit of work to get the muscle memory and get everything back on track, get him mentally prepared. So what we've done now, we've made the announcement, we've done a little bit of media where I've still kept Nikita some off to the side, and I've handled most of it. And he's in the gym, and his instruction's very simple. You now focus on preparing, we'll do the rest. And so we're deliberately pulling the reins back already to bring him in on a professional level, because one thing I learnt with Tim started off with his dad's shadow, and Lyndon, you were part of that when we came down with you guys.
Yep.
There was always the comparisons. He's not his father, he's as good as his father, blah. Well, Nikita's got two. He's got Kostya in the far background, and now Tim. So my job, again, is to offer a degree of protection and just make sure that at the end of the day, the focus has to be on him fighting and winning. The rest of the stuff will come. So there's no race. And so I think it's important that we just do this in a real timely, professional manner and just bring him along carefully.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Pete.
Glenn, I was going to say, great to see you in Sydney, mate. Thanks for the hospitality, and your whole team's a first-class team. So it's good to see Tim now on his way. And Joel did mention to me, whispered to me and said, don't say anything, they'll announce it Sunday. So Joel, you and I had, first time I sort of checked Nikita out, because he was hanging around there. He's quite an athlete. I saw him in the amateurs at the Calabria Club, and Tim fought that night as well. He's built for the pros. But as you said, it's going to take time. You want to take the pressure off him. Obviously, his first fight, is it going to be over 6 or 4 minute or 3 or 4 rounds? Or is it going to be a 4-rounder or a 6-rounder? And who's the opponent? You got an opponent yet?
Honestly, Pete, Igor and I haven't even gone into the fight business of Igor yet, of Nikita just yet. For us, it was all about, okay, we have to let everyone know that this is what he's doing. And we knew that there would be hype, and we got a double-page spread in the Telegraph, which, for a fighter coming in as a rookie, there was a whole heap of hype. And we needed to address that we needed to put that message out there and do it in a professional way, and then just almost immediately close the curtain and let him go off and focus. So even to the extent of who will he fight, where will he fight, will it be 4 or 6 rounds? None of that's even been discussed, Pete, because it's quite some time away, and Igor has one focus only, and that's to now start to get his physical conditioning back up, his muscle memory working, get his mental place back where he needs to be, because he's going from 6 years ago, a 17-year-old amateur fighting, whoever he could and literally wiping the floor with them, to popping into a professional ring. And it's a different ball game, as you guys well know. It's a totally different ball game. So the fight business, as you're talking about, in terms of logistics of what happens with him and where we go and what we do, that will come, mate. Not just yet, but I'd be interested to see how Nikita progresses over the next month into the new year. And there's a very real chance we'll be shooting off to a camp in the United States regardless, and Nikita will most likely come with us, and that'll bring him right up to where we need him to be. So just keep that in the back of your mind. It'll be most likely towards the end of February or early March we'll debut him, and I'll certainly let everyone know in advance who, where, and when.
Over 2022, Glenn, how many fights ideally would you like Nikita to have? Would you like him this time next year to be 5 and zip? Do you want to keep him active? Is he going to be fighting like every month?
Yeah, same as Timmy, same blueprint, similar roadmap, 5 fights, busy. Matty Rose and the guys from No Limits. It's an interesting part. Right now, I haven't signed Nikita to any promotional agreement.
Lyndon's got a nice book around Macedon, mate. He hasn't been doing anything.
I've heard that.
A bit sick at the moment.
You're more than welcome to put your best foot forward and send the offer. Seriously, there's been a lot of attention, more than I actually. There would be a lot.
Tara won't mind baked beans for the next 6 months, Lyndon. Come on, you can.
I think I'll be able to afford Nikita, mate. I don't think. Glenn, we've got to obviously talk about the big brother, of course, Tim. So there is a brother. His name's Tim, and they obviously had a great win last week. We've obviously seen that Castano-Charlo fight looks like it's going to happen again. Is there anything in the works for Tim at the moment? Is he going to fight here or maybe fight on the undercard? Is there any sort of progressive
there is, mate.
talks there? Yep.
Yeah, there is. We spent all day yesterday and most of today with No Limits, just workshopping where we go forward and working our way through that political maze of international boxing. Where it's laying right now is there's a couple of options that are floating. One is we now know that very soon they will most likely announce Castano-Charlo rematch on February 26th. Mm-hmm. There's only one sticking point that we're aware of right now, and that's the location. Charlo wants it in his hometown of Houston, and Castano refuses because he thinks he got hard done by there last time.
Which he did, I think.
Fair enough. That's out of our control, so we can't do anything with that. There is some talk of an offer for us to fight on the undercard as a co-main event, which would be nice to showcase all the boys together. Our thoughts on that are that it might be something we're interested in if we get the nod to fight the winner.
Yeah, we did actually.
Second to that, is and should that, or look, if that doesn't happen, or the rematch doesn't happen, or whatever, the second option is we are looking at another mega fight in Australia, most likely in Melbourne. Okay. We've not been to Melbourne yet, so we'd like to go to Melbourne and do a big show and bring another top 5 contender down for that. So both of those plans are laying in place. We just got to see how it all falls together now. And as soon as we get the word on it, I'm sure the No Limits boys will be happy to announce where we're heading. But it's exciting. Regardless of whether it's a world title or not, Tim will be back in the ring in February or March.
We've been starved of everything down this way, mate, for so long. So I think if you fought here around that time, you could be probably guaranteed to probably get 10 to 15,000, I reckon, for a fight with Tim against obviously a quality opponent. So, Tazzy, you got one more question for Glenn before we let him go?
Yeah, well, obviously regarding Tim, Glenn, look, it'd be a stadium fight in my opinion in Melbourne. I mean, Melbourne is a great sporting nation. I remember being at his dad's last fight in Australia against Jesse James Lahar, 30,000, 40,000 people at the Telstra Dome. I mean, that would be perfect.
right.
But personally, like I love to see Tim on the as the co-main event, in America, just to showcase him there and just to hopefully try and secure that winner, because it's pretty special. I mean, if he fights the winner, he's fighting for all the belts, not just one belt. I mean, it's a different level. It's all
That's
the
right,
belts.
mate.
I mean, that would be the ideal thing. Tim not just fighting for a title, but fighting for them all. And that would be, to me, if I could plan it, that would be the perfect plan, I think, anyway.
No, I agree, mate. And honestly, that's our primary option right now that we're all working hard towards. Obviously, that is the ultimate payday for at fight number 22 of Tim's professional career to fight for the undisputed title. It would be lovely to go to America, introduce him to the crowd on a co-main event with the two guys, that potential opponents for that undisputed, fighting immediately after him. And as you know, it's all a stage, America. You can see it now. Timmy goes over there, wins his co-main. The two, Castano and Charlo, go at it. One of them wins. Tim hops in the ring and says, it's on. And so for the world gets to see that the guy that's fighting next is here. These two guys shake hands and say, we'll see you in 3 months' time for the undisputed. That's, for me, that's the end of the roadmap that we started 4 years ago. That's the pinnacle.
Yeah.
I never, in my wildest dreams, thought we'd be looking at that. But given the way things work in boxing, it's sort of fallen our way a little bit in terms of undisputed. So, gosh, why wouldn't you be excited about it? I certainly am.
For sure. Got one last one there.
100%, Glenn. And 1 second, Lyndon. Sorry, mate.
Right.
Just one more quick thing, mate. Just regards to Nikita, what was Costa and obviously Papa Boris's feelings about him finally turning pro? Just quickly.
Yeah, look, Grandpa on the weekend of the fight came over and he said, all good with Nikita? I said, all good, ready to go. And he just smiled and he said, I'll be busy. And he loves it. He lives for it. This keeps Boris alive. So I'm really excited for him that he gets to experience that. Costa, on the other hand, just said to me, he said, same with Timmy, keep it real. And tell him, don't get hit. And that's about it, mate.
That's all he says.
Doesn't have a lot to say. He dead set doesn't have a lot to say about the boys.
Vintage Costa.
He's very happy to sit back in Moscow and watch them and enjoy the process, but that's about it. And we talk about other stuff. It's funny. I only spoke to him 2 days ago, and we talk about everything but the boys fighting because he's just happy to enjoy that part of his life.
No, that's good. Awesome.
Pete, go ahead, mate.
I should give you, before I go, I'll give you a little heads up, but as I'm talking with Cos, there's a real chance that we'll be over there with both the boys in 2022 for a fight in Russia.
Ooh.
And Costa's a promoter now, and he wants to.
I'm there, Glenn. I'm there, mate.
That would be massive.
I thought you might be, Tazzy.
I'll be there,
Although I
mate.
don't know if you'll get let back in, mate, after last time.
I behaved last time. It was the time before that.
Oh, sorry, my mistake.
One last one for
all good,
Glenn
fellas.
there, Pete.
No, I was just going to say, Glenn, where, as far as now Tim and Nikita, and you mentioned no limits, have they basically said how many fights they're planning to do? You mentioned a Melbourne show. Will that be in February or March, or you don't know? Is that just something that just gets thrown up? Is
No,
it, do they give you like a solid
that's
date?
the one we talked about. Should the opportunity to go to the United States and fight around the same time as the rematch, should that not happen or the rematch falls on its head and gets dragged out, we're not waiting. So our plan B will be, if we don't get that opportunity to go over there and do that, we will have plan B sitting ready to go, which would be another big event, and we'd like to go to Melbourne. We've got a lot of our sponsors come out of Melbourne and a lot of our fan base comes out of Melbourne, and we've not been able to get there with COVID, and we'd love to go down there and put on a mega show. And No Limits are right behind it 100% because they've not done it either. So we'd love to get there. So you can almost put those two in a line and let's see where it falls. Ideally, as I spoke to Tazzie, we'd love to go to America, and that's the perfect end game to line Tim up for that title. But if that, as you know, these things don't always work. They don't come together. There's problems, there's disputes, and they drag on. We're not waiting. We just don't. That's not our team. We don't wait for them to dictate to us. So if that doesn't happen, we'll be probably going to Melbourne in February or March to do a big show down there.
Well, that would be absolutely massive, mate, because as Tazzy said, Melbourne is, like it or not, is up your way. It is the home of sport in Australia, and no doubt they would get upwards of 15,000 at a place like Melbourne Park or even a stadium or whatever, or maybe even more, because they've been starved and they love their boxing, they love their sport, and looks like they all love Team Tszyu. So Glenn, mate, really appreciate you coming on. I'd just like to say as well to not only yourself but your promotional team, No Limit. We love what they're doing with all the shows, not just with Tim. Really love what they're doing for Australian boxing, and it'd be great to even have them on at some stage for a quick chat. But what they're doing for Australian boxing has never been done before, and as boxing fans, we're very appreciative.
Yeah, I agree, mate. You only had to look at the telecast from last Wednesday. That could have been Vegas. That could have been Madison Square Garden. The production was on par with the best in the world. And kudos and all credit to the Rose brothers. They invest. They do it all. They do it very well, and they're setting a standard for all the others to chase, and that's wonderful.
No, good stuff, mate. Well, we can't wait to have you on again to talk the next step of Team Tszyu 2/3, and hopefully
and that'd be 4, 5, and 6.
Yeah, 5 and 6. But mate, hopefully you've got some good news soon for what's happening for Tim and Nikita, and can't wait to talk to you again.
Fantastic talking with you, boys. Anytime, I'm happy to jump on and give you an update.
Really appreciate it, mate.
Thank you, boys.
Give me love to everybody, mate. All the best.
I will. Yeah. I will, Tazzy. Take care, guys.
All right. Well, that was Glen Jennings, and always great talking again. He's such one of the good guys of Australian boxing.
He's a champion, mate. Yeah, one of the best in the business.
And,
I've got a few goosebumps after that. I'm excited.
Yeah.
For a potential fight in Melbourne, or even
would be.
I'm just excited.
That would be absolutely massive.
Deep dive would be front and centre at the press conferences, Lyndon.
Exactly. We'll try and sneak in there.
You need to get us shirts and jackets and all that printed up.
You can do that.
You'd be like Ellie Setback, Peter. You'd be like Ellie Setback.
Ellie Setback.
You'd be like Ellie Setback.
Oh, mate, got that little Jew boy.
I was probably being conservative there as far as the crowd numbers there, guys. But legitimately, he could get 15,000, 20,000 plus for a fight in Melbourne. Because one thing Melburnians have shown, when it comes to sport, they turn out. So, it would be massive. Hard to think, though, Pete, that we had him in Bendigo only 3 years ago, and we only had about 1,500 there then. I reckon if we did the same this time, we'd probably have 10 times that. But anyway... that's how much it's progressed.
Yeah, and Hyder swapping the dressing rooms.
Yeah.
So Maloney got Team Tszyu's room, and Tim got Maloney's good old Angelo there.
He did, yeah. Well,
Eagle mentioned that to me the other night too.
Did he?
And I said, "Yeah, you got to get there early." Yeah, he did. He said, "Yeah, Hyder swapped the rooms. He swapped the notes
all
on
the tricks
room.
in the book. Does Angelo? All right, let's get on to some other Aussie news. Tazzy, let's go to Wildfighter is this week.
Yeah, Wildfighter Promotions, Will Thomason doing a great job there. They'll hold their second show in Barnsdale this weekend. It's an outdoor event at the Football Oval at Lucknow. The main event will be Blake Wells versus Lucas Miller, who will fight for the Australian light heavyweight title. So I think that's under. He's got a big tent he's hired, a circus tent, and good on him for getting the ball rolling and finishing the year off with a big show in Bairnsdale.
Yeah, he's done well, hasn't he, Pete? Because even though they've had all these restrictions in place, to have an outside show in a big circus tent would have been a hell of a lot of planning to go into it. And I know, talking to him a couple of times per week, some of the trials and tribulations he's had in the lead up to the show, but I'm really happy that the show's happened. And this will be a pretty good fight because Blake Wells, we all know he can hit like a horse. And Lucas Miller's can go pretty well as well. So I think for me, it just all depends on which Blake Wells shows up, because the one that turned pro a few years back was an absolute killer. He's probably had a few weight issues lately, but if he turns up like that, Lucas Miller might have a pretty tough fight on his hands.
Yeah, it looks like a real good contest, and I'm sure, it's going to go either way. Lucas Miller's a southpaw, and he's a bit awkward as well. Blake Wells is dangerous early. It's for the Australasia title, so I think it's over 8 rounds, or is it over 10?
8 rounds, yeah, it's 8 rounds. Yeah.
Yeah, look, it's going to be a real interesting contest. Real interesting. I don't think Blake Wells is over the line by any stretch of the imagination.
Well, I saw him fight his first pro fight at the Pavilion in Melbourne when he fought a Kiwi, I think, and absolutely demolished him in the first round. And
Lincoln Hudson was the trainer back then.
Lincoln Hudson, and he can bang. So, and obviously we've seen Lucas Miller get knocked out by Isaac Hardman. So, but on the other hand, we've also seen Lucas Miller knock guys out as well. So I think it's a really good fight. He's got some corporate fights on the undercard as well, plus the 3 or 4 main fights. If you want to watch it, it's actually on the Ozboxing Facebook page live on Saturday night. So if you want to get on, check it out. It's absolutely free.
Well, he's got a guy that I rate as one of the future champions of Australia, Jack Gibb.
Yeah, good kid. Yep.
Who fought on my show in March, trained by Marcos Amato. He's a very good talent.
Yep.
Very, just very, very skillful fighter. I think he's one to really keep an eye out for. So I'm a big fan of Jack Gibbs.
He started. I saw Jack Gibbs spar when he was 11. He sparred Caleb Kozak and he sparred Pretty Boy George. He was actually trained by Ben Chua back then.
Yeah.
And he's a footballer as well. He's fighting March the 5th as well at MSAC. So that's going to be interesting. Jack Gibb will be a name to remember. He's quite an athlete. He can punch. And put him in the black book.
Obviously a very good trainer as well. So
I've done a few deals with Marcos. I like dealing with Marcos. He's one of the easy guys just to gives his word and sticks by it. So I've only got good things to say about Marcos Amato.
Yep, and as I said, if you want to watch it, it's live on the Ozboxing Facebook page on Saturday night, so check it out. It is absolutely free. Paul Gallen, Tazzy, bit of news there as well. That's postponed.
Yeah, that's crazy. His opponent, Aleu, whatever his name is, COVID-19. So the two-night event has been postponed or further notice. So this actually, I didn't actually read this. This affects Andrew's fight as well, does it?
Yeah, they've all the cards have been put back. I think they've gone back to December 21st, 22nd. Yeah.
Yeah, got 10 days.
Yeah, so...
it depends how this guy pulls up from COVID, because I know some people obviously been a life and death experience. So some get through it okay, but some... it affects their lungs. So, I mean, you don't know, really, do you?
No, not exactly. So, but, look, yeah, who knows how he's going to pull up. But it's just a bit of a shame for the rest of the card. But, yeah, it has been put back the 10 days. So, hopefully the rest of the card or the whole event goes ahead. Because, as we just said to Glenn before, No Limit doing great things up there. It's a main event pay-per-view. So, it'd be great to see it go ahead. Another Aussie on the weekend, Tazzie, Dempsey Mckean got off to a start in the US.
Yeah, mate, Deets Mckean. He's been over there for a while now, based over there. Well, he's in England for a while too. And as I said, he sparred Anthony Joshua. He sparred them all. He's been great preparation, and to make his debut like that, great effort. I'm sure Angelo Carlo and the boys at Ace Boxing that have been behind him from day one will be wrapped. Look, he's definitely his name's in the mix in the heavyweight division. He's a major player, and he's over there with Matchroom now. So this probably is flying under the radar a bit. Probably doesn't get as much attention as it should. You got an Aussie over there with Matchroom, sparring guys like Joshua and Dylan White, and the guys just won his debut by knockout. Probably deserves a bit more attention. This is pretty huge. This guy's he's got a lot of a big future ahead of him.
Pete, I don't know whether you saw it or not. I only just saw the highlights. But is there a chance to actually land a fight over there? I suppose you've got to be in it to win it, don't you?
He's got an undefeated record, which is a TV record. So, and he's 6'5" or whatever he is. So he looks the part. I'm sure he's going to get a fight over there. He's wide as well, and. One thing you realise when you get to Europe, there's fights everywhere because there's promotions everywhere, and boxing's really on the up there. So once you get on that European circuit, you get invited back everywhere. It doesn't matter if you win, lose or draw, because you're known and you're on TV and people know who you are, especially if you can put a good account for yourself. So Dempsey now, there's big fights for him. There's no doubt. You can make some big money here.
Great time to be a heavyweight, isn't it? And it's always good to be a wide heavyweight, as much as we hate to say it. That's the life in the boxing industry. So hopefully he gets it. As I said, you've got to be in it to win it. He's over there amongst it, putting himself out there. So hopefully he goes on with it. Speaking of Ace Boxing, Tazzy, they had a smaller show last week at the Mansfield Tavern.
Yeah, I heard it was a pretty cracking fight. Lachlan O'Shea won the Queensland Waterway title against Ben Horn. So I think that was a rematch, between them guys. But, that was obviously a good fight. And O'Shea got the job done. I think Horn was on a bit of a roll there for a while, a few wins in a row. But Lachlan got the win. So, well done to Angela Carlo and the Ace Boxing team.
Looks Pete. It looks like the Ben Horn actually won that one, but O'Shea's on the right there in the green. He actually got the decision, and there's talk there might be a third fight because it was pretty controversial.
Good stuff to Ace Boxing for getting these fights on. I'm sure. Yeah, why not a third fight? Get them in a trilogy. Why not?
Yeah, well, no, Ben Horn wasn't overly impressed afterwards, but took it on the chin. Excuse the pun, but he just said we'll get on with it and hopefully get another one. So hopefully that fight does happen, and it's great to see. We always talk about the bigger events in Australian boxing, but you need these type of events to for the underbelly of boxing, and it's great that Ace Boxing are keeping it alive up there with those shows as well. And just today, Tazzy, big news in the heavyweight division and for Australian boxing. This is a beauty.
Yeah, mate. Justice Sweeney versus Josh Scott, mate. I only just seen this myself earlier. I mean, this is great. I mean, I know Josh Goodall, who's actually he's managed by my good mate Steve Scanlon, who's a champion in boxing and big sponsor of Team Tszyu as well. And a lot of fighters had Horn. Goodall's been away. I know. I think he's been in America as well for quite a while now. And Hooney, they were both very good amateurs. I don't think they fought, but they would know each other very well. I think they've sparred probably. And this is awesome. I mean, this one's just come out of the box. This is really, really good. Obviously, I know Hooney was after the Kiwi guy. They must have had success with... Sorry?
What was his name, Pete? The one that fought Joseph Parker. What was his name?
Kevin Barry's trained by.
Yeah, no, the Kiwi that Joseph Parker fought last. The heavyweight. Anyway, yeah, he was supposed to fight him.
Few.
Yeah, yep.
Yeah. So, I mean, obviously he couldn't land that, but I mean, a credit to both teams for putting their record on the line. And look, Goodall's been in America, as I said, so perfect training camp to fight someone as good as Hooney. This is a really good fight. Yeah, this is just a bit of surprise one, really. This is good. This is great.
It was, wasn't it, Pete?
Yeah.
I must admit, I saw that myself and went, "Oh, geez, it's a risky fight, I suppose, for both of them." But just hats off to them both. Justice Hooney, especially, who's taking on a very, very live opponent in Goodall because he was a very good amateur, and as you can see, there was 7-0 as a pro. So pretty risky fight. But I've seen Goodall fight a couple of times. He'll give Hooney all he can handle.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Goodall obviously now trained by Kevin Barry's in Vegas, so he's sparring all the good heavyweights. Justice Hooney, I mean, he had that kind of break now. He's had his hands done and everything, so it's going to be interesting to see how he comes back. I'd say Hooney would start the favourite, but Goodall's a live opponent. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah.
No, for sure.
I think it's just great. Hats off to DNL Events and Tasman Fighters. This is it's good to see. This is really good for Oz boxing.
Yeah, I think it's the sort of things that really, sort of a card or fight that'll really, it just, we're pretty fickle down under with, we scrutinise all the fights to the nth degree, and I think this is a really good one to say, there you go, you guys wanted great fights, then here you go, all Aussie fights. Now, it's not a massive fight on an international level, but I think this will really get some traction in Australia, so good luck to both.
It's great. It's great for two guys with their records that are sort of under that 10 fight to risk their O's against each other. Yep. It's probably better than, because usually when guys, it takes a while for two guys to fight. These guys are risking it all when they can go their separate ways and be 20-0 each easily.
Yeah,
they're putting it on the line now. I think that really says something, Lyndon.
Yeah, no, 100%, and it will be on main event pay-per-view. So I'm sure it'll be a big one. Michael Zarafa is back, Tazzy.
Yeah, mate. Yeah, he will fight Fijian Silvani Naowa, Melbourne on December 17th. I think it's in Keilor. Joe Camacho, managed by the great man Petty Maniatis, my nemesis in the trivia game. He's on the show too, which is good for Joel to get a fight after the controversial decision the other week. So he wants to finish the year on a big note. Kane Clark, who's a very good fighter, he's had a pretty average year of not getting fights, and obviously COVID. I know that his name was mentioned on a few big cards earlier in the year, so he'll get a chance to fight too. So yeah.
And I think Pete Jack Gibb, who we spoke about before, was also on that card as well.
He is, and so is Benny Bomber. I know Sam LeBrun and everyone talks highly of Benny Bomber. He's 1-0. Joel Camilleri's fight now has been upgraded to 10 rounds for a WBA Oceania, and that was done today. It's vacant,
Wow.
so he's jumped on. And Kane Clark, he's sold a lot of tickets for this one. We've had him on Lyndon on our shows. We know what he's like. I think he's a dark horse. I spoke to Hisham Hanna just before. That's his manager, and he wants to move him along next year. I actually spoke to Kane yesterday, and we've been having good chats. So we're going to move him along next year. He wants to have 4 or 5 fights. So I think at lightweight he's going to be hard to beat. Jag Gibbs, a natural athlete, good to have on the card. And Michael Zaraferi, he's obviously got the fight now with Hardman in Melbourne in April.
Yep.
So
in Melbourne, is it?
I thought
it's going to be in Melbourne.
Okay.
No, it's in Melbourne in April. Yep. So that's going to be interesting. Obviously, he's getting a fight here. He's fighting for the Oceania, so he goes on to Hardman, and that will be a good fight to have. I think Shanika Johnson's also fighting for the IBF female world title on the same night.
Who's promoting that one, Peter?
Sam LeBrun and Ben Lonigan.
Been pretty good for Shanika Johnson to get an IBF world title fight, which is coming off a loss nearly 12 months ago. So I don't know how the rankings work these days, but good luck to her, I suppose. But Tazzy, it's great. It's great, obviously, that Zarafa's back. We like to tell it how it is on this show, obviously. We've probably got to address the elephant in the room, though, and that's Zarafa's opponent. We like Michael. He's a good guy. He's doing good things, but the opponent, looking at his record, we've actually had him on our show before, Pete. He won his last fight, but before that he'd been knocked out 4 times and had a draw. Is this the best type of opponent we can get for Zarafa, or is there maybe someone else that we might have been able to look at? I know it's a tune-up, but as a boxing fan, I find it very, very hard to get excited about this one. It's great to see him back, but as I said, we've got to tell it the way it is.
Tazzy?
Yeah,
comment?
100%.
No comment, Pete? You're the matchmaker.
Yeah.
Tell us.
Oh, yeah, Pete. Yeah, go, Pete. Tell us about it, mate.
You've got a COVID situation now, and it would have been hard to get opponents in for Zarafa. So, look, I think under the current COVID situation and the fact that Zarafa's only really had 1 round in 2 years, that was up against Anthony Mundine, I think it's just basically get him a hit out before Hardman.
No, that's fair enough.
By April next year, I think things will be opened up. And the fight with Zarafa and Hardman will be interesting because they're both at their peak. You can't say one's waning and one's washed up or one's not ready. They're both starting to peak at the same time as far as performance goes. And that's going to be an interesting fight. I mean, that will be a fight that will create... Because Zarafa can win that fight and win it. If Hardman's not on, Zarafa can take him to school. There's no doubt about that.
Oh, no doubt. I would think if you
he's got to be the heavy favourite in that fight.
Yeah, Zarafa would have to be, wouldn't he? Pete?
Yeah, I mean, Zarafa starts favourite, but Hardman's heavy-handed, and he's not someone that you can take lightly, and I don't think he's someone that would not rise to the occasion. I think this is what he's been waiting for.
Yeah, I think Michael likes these big fights, like Isaac Hardman does. That's why I think it's great. And I just, I'm not trying to bring Michael down here, but as I said, we've got to tell it the way it is. And I just hope we can get past this one ASAP, get it out the road, get a hit out under his belt, and go on to Hardman. I can understand that I don't want too big a risky fight because at the end of the day, we don't want any cuts or injuries or whatever. We want him to fight Hardman. But yeah, I think this is with all due respect to all involved. I just want to get this fight out the road for Michael, and let's get on to the Hardman one because that's the one we all want to see.
Yeah,
100%, mate. I mean, it's obviously it's a bit different to fighting on a no limit show than you're fighting at a kilo, but I mean that's boxing, and as I said, it's a warm up, and and it's tough to do any boxing show, as I know, because I'd done one. I wasn't even allowed at the venue, but I mean, I wasn't in the state to do it. But I mean, look, fight's a fight. You're only one punch away from disaster. But I know what you mean, Linda. Look, given everything, it is, But I mean, look, what can you do?
Yeah.
Good luck to all the boys. Kane Clark's definitely a very good.
Yep.
Kane Clark's definitely a very good prospect, and he's got a good future. And you know what I just said about Jack Gibb, and great to see Joel. Yeah.
And Team LeBrun are obviously doing what's best for the team to put a show on for their fighters. So good on them as well. And let's face it, Pete, we're only there to see Camacho anyway, aren't we?
Yeah, of course.
Camacho.
There's rumours you might not even be there, Peter. Is that true?
No, I'll be in Russia. That's right, but we won't talk about that yet. We'll announce that a bit later. But sadly, I won't be there. But I've told that to John. I've told it to Kane Clark as well. I won't be there. So
don't think you're getting away from our trivia, mate. Because I'll find you anywhere.
No. Tazzy. I don't duck or weave. We can do it.
Make sure you got one. Don't make an excuse because you got no Wi-Fi in Russia. Because the Wi-Fi is not good over there either. I've been there a few times.
Oh, okay.
There's one more thing, guys. I want to go. It's not on your run sheet, Tazzy, but I've included this because I was a bit hesitant too, but I want to bring it up. It's this fight. Sam Solomon on December 11th is going to fight Jesse White. Now, as I said, we like to bring all the news out there, good and bad, and with different views. I must admit, I saw this, I thought it was April Fool's Day. I cannot believe this fight has actually been made. We've got Sam Solomon, the former WBA world champion, fighting Jesse White. With all due respect to Jesse, he's had 7 fights for 6 wins and 1 loss. His first 6 fights were wins against all fighters with losing records. His last fight, he got knocked out in 2 rounds. And now he's going to be fighting Sam Solomon, former world champion. Over 6 rounds, I will say, for what is listed here as an AMBF title fight. Now, Pete, what is going on here? Can you explain it to me?
Look, I think Sam, at the end of his career, just loves the sport and wants us to keep active and keep fighting. It's obvious here that it's not, what we're used to seeing. This is a guy who fought Winky Wright. This is a guy who was in the contender. This is a guy that, captured the imagination fighting Anthony Mundine. He's been all around the world with boxing. I mean, this is a sad part of it. Roy Jones Jr. did the same thing. When you trail down and you just can't let go, you try letting go. I mean, that's the thing. What do? Do you sit on your couch and gain 20 pounds?
Yeah,
he doesn't let go. He wants to still be a fighter. He just wants to put the boots and the mouth guard in. What do you do? How do you stop him doing something that he likes?
No, look, you're 100% right, mate. I'm not trying to have a go at Sam or Jesse. Full credit to Jesse for jumping in there, but look at that fight post there. It just does not look right. And when I saw it, I nearly fell off my chair. Now, the fact that Tazzy, what AMBF title do you fight for over 6 rounds? I think, is it a state silver title? Come on, this guy is a former world champion. You cannot be fighting for a silver Victorian title. Come on.
Lyndon, this is what I hate about the sport, and the commission really need to stop Sam from fighting. I mean, you just mentioned Jesse's record. He just fought a guy, had 2 fights, that Victor guy, and got beat by him. He had, I think he had 2 or 3 fights.
Victor Nagby,
so he fought a guy.
He's actually a pretty good fighter. Has had a lot of.
I know, but it doesn't
fights,
matter.
But
he still only had 2 or 3 fights, and he got beat by him. So it's the same thing. They need to stop him from fighting. He's a legend of the sport.
Look,
what he's done will never be taken away. Like Peter said, Felix Sturm world title, beat Alex Sturm twice. Winky Wright, toughest fight Winky had. Contender, Mundine, 3 fights. Everyone beat Nader Hamden. Beat Nader. Yep. And Camacho beat Nader Hamden. Beat Sakyo, 1 out of the 3. Fighting now, even
breaks your heart, mate.
It's just pretty sad, mate.
It breaks your heart.
Pretty sad.
This is not having a crack at Sam personally. We love Sam. He's an icon of Australian combat sports.
What does he do? Does he sit on the couch and gain 20 pounds?
Well, mate,
Peter, such is life, mate.
Yep.
Such is life. Lyndon's a fighter. I'm a fighter. We had to retire. We had to retire.
He wants to compete. He wants to compete. How old were you when you retired, Tazzy?
31.
Yeah, well, this guy's going 31. To 48. He wants to keep fighting.
But
you should.
Pete, there's a come a time where you've almost got to be saved from yourself. 48 years old, he's had a lot of tough fights, not just boxing, but kickboxing as well.
I'm not saying that he should be fighting, but I'm saying, would we be happy if he retired and developed a drug and drinking problem?
Well, but Pete, there does come a time where you've got to actually make the call. What are we going to be having this conversation when he's 60 because he still wants to fight? There's got to be a time where you've got to hang them up.
At 60, if he is still doing the Masters and stuff at 60, wouldn't we say what a great effort?
Oh, I don't know. Oh, look,
not really.
I hope I'm wrong, but
the thing is, yeah.
Sorry, mate. I was just going to say. The other issue is, I'm happy to talk to Mike about it when we see him next. This is being billed as the main event on a pro bellum show. This is the launch of what we're expected to see on Australian boxing. This is our Australian entrant. Hang on, Pete. This is the Australian entrant to the problem or whatever it's called, worldwide structure they're setting up, and this is the best Australian entry we can get. Come on, This is going out to the world apparently as part of the problem thing. So, come on.
Yeah, no, I'm not defending what's happening. I'm just thinking out loud as far as what Sam's mindset is.
Yeah.
I'm getting into his mind, and he's saying, "Well, I don't want to let go." Now,
I can understand that, mate. I really can.
If he's passing his medicals and he doesn't want to let go, what do you do? What do we do?
Yeah. No,
what about a bit of self-respect for yourself too? You've been a world champion. You fought a guy the other time with 3 fights. Now you're fighting a guy with 7 fights. I mean, it's got to be a mental thing where you got to have that bit of pride too. I don't understand that as a former. I was never a world champion, but I've got enough pride that I would be coming back fighting guys that couldn't tie my shoelace up. Really, I mean, no, not Jesse or not Victor, but guys that have been at that level like Felix Sturm and like I don't get this.
As I said, my two things is that I just hate to see Sam now at this point. Pete, I 100% agree with what you're saying, and having been there, it's very, very hard to let go. And if you haven't got something to fill that void, very, very tough.
It's such as life, though.
I was just going to say, and it's not just boxing; it comes to footy players and that sort of stuff. But
all I'm trying to say is, what's he doing that is harming us? Why do we have to be
copying more punches to the heads for starters, which is probably is not good for anyone as they get older.
It's not for us. It doesn't, mate. I don't wake up in the morning and think about Sam Solomon, or I don't think about. I don't think about many people, to be honest with you. But I'm talking about the sport of boxing. It doesn't. I don't think it helps Australian boxing. Simple as that.
No, I agree. Look,
I'm not saying it does, but I'm just thinking of it as far as Sam goes. I'm putting my mind into Sam Solomon, and he's probably thinking, I don't want to let go. I want to keep going. I enjoy this lifestyle. I want to live, breathe, and be a fighter for the rest of my life.
Maybe going to Masters boxing or something, Pete. I don't know, but I just think to be and
well,
even
this
though
is where we need to come in as promoters and say, look, Sam, what about you become a judge, a referee?
Yeah, and you're right. I would hope. Yeah, you're right.
There should be a commission. The commission should do something.
I was going to say, the commission or someone should come into him and maybe give him. I know he's got his gym and that sort of stuff. Come in and give him a role and that sort of stuff. But I just think the promoters in his instance do better. That's all I'm saying. If you want to get this program thing out to the world, do better.
I could offer him a 4-rounder in Tasmania, but I'm not going to do it out of respect for the guy.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
That's what I'm saying. Do better to all concerned. That's just my opinion. All right, guys, let's get on to the world news now. Pete, we're up to you. Only a couple of things there. Obviously, the big fight last week was Crawford-Porter.
Yeah, look, we saw why Crawford possibly could be. I mentioned he could be the best pound for pound in the world. Maybe not Canelo still. But if Crawford gets his opportunity, this guy could go past all of them. And I remember when he was starting out and Top Rank first signed him up, I spoke to Bob Arum. He was fighting a guy called Ricky Burns, the Rickster. And I said to Bob Arum, why is he fighting him in England, in the UK? Bob Arum said he can fight him on the moon and beat him. So he goes, this guy's going to be a special talent. And we've seen Crawford come right through the ranks. Shaw Gibbons rates him massively. I mean, he's like a Floyd Mayweather, but a southpaw version that can switch. This guy's got everything, and he's nasty, and he lifts to a challenge, and I'm sure he'll beat Errol Spence. If he fights Errol Spence, go to the bank, he will beat Errol Spence. Now he's not with Top Rank anymore, So it looks
that was
like he
harsh,
might get the fight, might sign
Cop that,
Premier
Bob.
Boxing. But look, Porter is another great fighter. Porter gives everyone nightmares, and Porter was, right competitive into this fight. It was going 50-50 round for round.
Yeah.
And we saw Crawford do what champions do. He finished it quickly. So
Well, his corner told him he was behind after the 10th round, I think it was, and he came out in 11th and turned it up. But Tazzy, what do you think about the comments after the fight by his father? And before you actually comment on it, I just want to show it now.
What prompted you to stop the fight tonight?
Honestly, his preparation. He didn't prepare like I wanted him to prepare. So that's just, that just makes me say, you know what? I don't want him in that situation. He fought a great fighter. The guy is super sharp, and he's at a deficit. It's like fighting this guy blindfolded when you're in a deficit like that. So I wasn't going to let that happen to him.
He looks in great shape.
So, Tazzy, what do you think of that? He definitely threw him under the bus, didn't he?
Yeah, I don't really know what to make of that. I mean, you think that it's the biggest fight of his career, probably, that he would have left no stone unturned. And I mean, so I don't really get that. And if you don't think he's got that good a preparation, why not pull him out of the fight then? I mean, I don't really get that. I mean,
or discuss it with him behind closed doors. That might be another option.
Yeah, he pushed. Look, he was always going to give Crawford a tough fight. I mean, Porter had that many fights as an amateur, like over 100. He beat Danny Garcia, who's a great fighter, former world champion. He gave Thurman all hell, close decision loss. Gave Spence all hell, close decision loss. He beat Broner, which Broner was still pretty good when he beat Broner too. Broner was still fairly decent. So he was always going to give a good account of himself. Like Peter said, I think Crawford's special. One or two, pound for pound, easily. And I think that he'll beat Spence if the fight happens. I think he's the best welterweight in the world. I think it'd be a shame if the fight doesn't happen between him and Spence, because Leonard fought Hearns at the similar time. Yeah. Both were welterweight kings. This is a Leonard Hearns fight. This fight needs to happen for all the belts, both their O's. This fight needs to happen. I don't know who's the one that's going to make it happen. Like what company? I know Spence is with Heyman. I've heard that Crawford is with someone already, sort of, but that's probably a bit private for now. But I think that he's aligned to someone at the moment.
No. He's going to do the fight now with PBC to get Errol Spence there as a free agent, because this is how it works, Tazzy. If he had done the fight with PBC away from Top Rank, he would have to give Top Rank 23% of his purse. Manny Pacquiao, when he did the fight with Floyd Mayweather, had to give Top Rank 23% of his purse. Okay. When you're talking about $100 million and you give 23 million away, why wouldn't you wait? Lyndon's jaws dropping, saying, yep, because that's the logistics that you learn. Now, this is a situation. Porter is a world-class fighter. I saw Porter in 2 training camps with Manny Pacquiao. He was giving Manny Pacquiao great sparring. That's how he got on the world stage, and Manny helped him a lot. So this Porter's a world-class fighter. I don't know what Porter's dad said. Yeah. He wasn't prepared. I thought Porter fought a cracking fight.
How'd you have it scored,
as much as he did. What's that?
How'd you have it scored after 10 rounds? Or 9 rounds?
Oh, well, I had 9 rounds. I had it 5-4 to Crawford. I had him around in front. That's it.
So did I.
So that's it. So I thought, if Porter can finish strong, he's going to win the fight. And then when Crawford with that sharp hook dropped him and then dropped him again, I thought his dad did the right thing to stop the fight, because Crawford's becoming a massive finisher. We saw that when he fought Cal Brook.
Yeah.
He only needs to
he's
get
got the pig in him too.
He's got that sort of killer in him. He's a beast when he gets someone hurt. And look, I'm expecting that fight to happen, because he'll sign now with PBC. You won't have to give his 23% over to Top Rank, and that fight will happen, because it's the only fight they're available where they can basically make money. And who knows? That might end up being a rematch and a trilogy, and they might keep fighting each other, because I can't see Crawford going up to junior middle, because he started at lightweight. He's only a little sort of bloke if you see him. He's a big bloke. So I don't see him hanging with the middleweights and junior middleweights. It's not his thing. I think he could start welterweight and fight Errol Spence a few times. Maybe he'll venture to junior middle one day, but I think he'll be a welter for a little while.
Just
Do you guys agree with me and think I say it's the biggest fight in boxing out of them two?
Yeah, I think so.
100%. 100%. That's the one everyone wants to see. And that's the one that, they're both undefeated and they're both beating everyone easily. So why not put them together?
Right, well, let's move on quickly to this one. I want to hear what you've got to say about this one. Hang on, I'll just fast forward a bit here. What do we got to say about this? This is Canelo against Makabu. I think, is that how you pronounce his name? Look at the size difference here. These guys are going to fight. What do you think, Tazzy?
When I first heard it, I was a bit disappointed because I was hoping to see Canelo Benavidez or something like that. But then I thought about it, and I read what Canelo said. I'm the undisputed champion. I can do pretty much what I want. And it's true. At the moment, he can. So to go up and win a belt at cruiserweight, he's got this thing, even though he's not the lineal champion, but it's the to go up and do the Mexican 5 division champion, make history, then he can come back and fight whoever. Now, I was a bit worried about him going a lot heavy and fighting Benavidez. I didn't want him to. I think that's too big. But now he's got one above that. So I wasn't happy about it at the start. But he can do what he wants. He's the man. Go up and do this. If he pulls it off, then he will. He's not going to retire. He will come back down. Then he could fight a Benavidez, or he could fight a Benavidez, or one of those guys. You know what I mean? So I'm sort of now, Canelo, yes, you can do what the fuck you want. But I'm not a massive fan of it, Lyndon. Yeah. But he earns the right to do what he wants because he has had a big year.
Yeah. Well, Pete, this is one of my points in our talking point segment coming up, so I'm going to give you a bit more time to answer it then. So I just want to move on and give you the full reply in our segment on that. We're a bit short of time, so let's race into everyone's, I think, favourite subject. And hopefully he's got something on his mind tonight, and that is Tazzie's tirade. Tazzie, have you got anything on your mind this week, or are you happy?
Mate, I'm always happy, mate, but doesn't mean there's things that don't piss me off in boxing, mate. I don't know. I don't want to clash with your thing. You're not talking about dads in boxing, are you, Nat?
I will be, but you can touch on it quickly. Well, if that's what you're talking about, let's go into it now, and we'll just scrub it from my one. But that was one of the things I had in the talking points was about dads with the sons in boxing.
Yeah, look, I mean, the way Lopez's dad carried on today with all the bullshit and going up to Gambosis' dad and then running and then all the swearing and then carrying on to his son saying you better knock him out, then knock his father out while his son's doing an interview. His son was like, just an idiot like him. It reminds me, as I said, of Angel Garcia. Yeah. I never liked Danny Garcia's dad. Always a goose carrying on. Look, I don't know if they've had fights or not. Not that it matters, but I mean, stop carrying on for your son. It looks bad for boxing. It embarrasses your son. And I just think they're gooses. I mean, I know there's a few other guys like it as well, but they're two of the main ones. I mean, Garcia was always an idiot. And this Lopez guy, all the bad language and just all the carrying on and all the, the macho bravado stuff. Just let your sons fight. I don't mind a bit of hype around boxing, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But I mean, when the fighters are doing it, that's okay. But the fathers and coaches and I think Guerrero's dad was a bit like that as well. But, it really annoys me. I've never liked guys trying to outshine their son or take it from their son. And most guys, most of the time, the father never fought. It's usually just living for their son's dreams, which even in Tasmania, there's a lot of coaches doing that. Their dads and just absolute idiots. I mean, it boils down to if you haven't had a punch in the face, you don't know nothing. But I mean, the thing is, I didn't like that from Lopez's dad, and I just think they should be banned or put on reprimand for their actions in fight week. It's just not on. Yeah.
Well, before I let you answer, Pete, I'm going to go straight into the next segment, which is our segment, which is the talking points, and I'm actually going to start with that one. I think I've got the right one here. What have I got here? Yeah, there you go. And we've got 2 minutes here. You can see the clock ticking there. We've got 5 to get through. So this is the first one. Boxing fathers should step back and stay out of their sons/daughters' promotions.
True, I agree with that.
Yeah.
It just gets too close and too in-depth, and yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, because it's like you said, Tazzy, we've had Garcia's dad, we've had Guerrero's dad, we've now got Lopez's dad, and I'm sure there's countless others, but just stay out of it. Let the guys have their moment in the sun and do what they've got to do as professional fighters. Let's not forget they're professionals here. These aren't just, it's not some local football game or something. These are professional athletes. And you look at what happened at the Lopez Cambosa situation in the gym. You've got Lopez, he's trying to do an interview at the time. He's obviously trying to cut weight. He's trying to focus on the fight. And he's got his dad carrying on like an idiot, threatening to kill Cambosa's dad, Jim. It's just ridiculous, isn't it? I mean, if you're a promoter, would you say to these guys, hey, stay away, I don't want you part of these promotions? What do you reckon, Taz?
100%, mate. Look, it just says the said just turned me off big time today. And I like Lopez. He seems like he's a great fighter. Seems like a nice kid, but I don't get it, mate. It doesn't do anything for the fighter's mentality. It could probably do the opposite for his son's performance. I mean, has to distract you a little bit. It's embarrassing. I couldn't stand Angel Garcia. Yeah. I remember once with the Zab Judah press conference, they probably could have got shot. They got really nasty when they attacked Judah and his team, and it just doesn't do nothing. I don't think it's good for the sport. I'm all about hyping a fight, and I always love the cocky guy like a Mayweather or Mundine. But as for the fathers and the coaches and that, just keep it a bit more civil. It's stupid.
Yeah, and Pete, we're a little bit out of time here, but one thing I would probably give George a bit of advice is to look at how Lopez handled it, stay out of it, because George actually found himself involved in it. He should have just done what Lopez did and just stood back and said, boys, grow up.
Yeah, look, it's emotions, I guess, and George loves his dad, I'm sure.
Yeah,
Lopez loves his dad as well, and everyone reacts differently to certain situations, but George is a bit of a fiery bugger.
He is,
We don't want to rub him up, and he's a former rugby player. And, I just can't wait for that fight to happen, because I know, I'll be quite honest, if it's George hasn't got the respect he deserves. It's not even a main event. It's a complete joke. We'll get this Dan Zen things on your apps. What happens if you haven't got that? Australia's let us down here. Media, main event. You had the Maloney fights on. You had all these fights on. You didn't have him on. Get yourself. You deserve a big kick up the fucking ass.
Yeah, no, 100% agree, mate. Well, let's get into the next one. We touched on it a bit.
Then he's going to say, tell them to fuck you.
Yep. Good call. All right. This one needs to be a little bit updated. It says no limit should combine the two cards to make one big card. And that was obviously with the Gallen fight. Looked like it had fallen over. The point was, or do we combine the two cards so that the others don't miss out? Have Andy Maloney as the main event. Maybe take it off main event, of course, but have Andy Maloney and put some of those ripper fights on the undercard to salvage the show.
No, because they've got a lot of other kids making their pro debuts and other fighters fighting. So it's good to have two fights, because you end up getting a lot more workout with both fighters. And we get to see two different shows on two different nights. You don't want to sit there and watch 15 fights. It's going to take 4 hours. You'd rather them break it up and do it. No limit right at the moment. They're doing a good job. And who's going to doubt it? They seem to keep producing these top quality cards. Yeah,
Tazzy, because the only reason I sort of brought it up too is because Tasman fighters have done the same thing with Dean L. They've actually combined the two cards. They've had a few fall over. So now we've got one massive card of huge fights. Well, I won't say all of them are huge, but really good quality fights. And there's about 10 fights on the card. It should be a massive day.
Yeah, no, that's good by then, guys. But look, there's a lot of guys debuting on these shows. Harry Garside's one of them, and Lenny Tapavinya's he's back as well. And I mean, look, no one should miss out on any of these shows. So if you've got to do two cards, all fighters should get a chance. I don't believe you should cut and mix and anyone miss out. So, I hope everyone gets the original slot on the shows.
Yeah, well, I originally put the comment up. I didn't know it had actually been delayed just the 10 days. I thought the whole thing might be scrapped. So that's why that one came up there. Let's move on to point number 3. Canelo, this is again touching on what we just spoke about. Canelo should not be able to jump 2 divisions to fight for a world title. Now, I think I know the answer to this because obviously Canelo's paid his dues, but can you jump 2 divisions and get an automatic world title shot above all the other contenders out there?
Look, it all depends on obviously who it is. Obviously, you can't because you should have fought at cruiserweight, beaten a noted cruiserweight, earned your shot to the title. But we're talking about the cash cow of boxing now, and the fact that he's going to also give his opponent his biggest ever payday. And it's
pretty happy
just,
about it, didn't he?
yeah, it's just good for boxing that, I mean, he's probably going to get 10 times the amount he normally gets paid. So his manager's going to be happy. The boxing fans will be happy because they're going to say Canelo might have bitten off more than he can chew. Canelo's only 5'8", but look, believe me, Canelo will school him. Don't worry about that.
Yeah.
Watch and see. The guy's only 6 foot.
And
he's in range.
He goes all right, but yeah, you can't. I mean, you got a feeling, Tazzy, that Canelo would not be jumping up to 90 kilos to fight a guy if there was any risk involved.
Yeah, but don't forget WBC's getting their sanctioning thing out of it too. When you said about people making money, so I mean they're right behind it. It was done at the WBC convention, but I mean, look, as I said, the first time I heard about it, I went, because like even though he's cleaned out the division, there's still some good fights there at super middleweight. I didn't want to see him go to light heavyweight. I didn't want to see him fight Benadev, but I wanted to see maybe a Benavidez or Charlo.
Yep.
But then I thought about it. I thought, look, Ray Robertson jumped up before Joey Maxim, even though it was a middleweight against light heavyweight, but that was there was no in division. There was no super middleweight. So he would have jumped whatever middle to light heavy. That's a big jump as well. So if you're a superstar, you can do it.
Yeah.
Manny went from welterweight to light middle to fight Margarito. I know that's not as big. Floyd can do it. There's only a few that can do it. Ray Leonard can do it.
Yep.
Pacquiao, Oscar. So if you're that much of a superstar, Lyndon, it's like getting with a supermodel or a Miss Universe contestant or a Miss Universe model.
No,
you can do what you fucking want.
No, I agree.
You were the king of Bendigo. You done what you wanted to do.
No, I agree, mate.
I was the king of Tasmania.
You are the king of Tasmania.
Peter's the king of Coburg or Western Suburbs, wherever he's from.
King of Malvern.
Yeah. Malvern. Thank you, Tazzy.
I agree. Look, end of the day, WBC get their money. Canelo gets his money. The opponent gets the money.
I'm getting in your head, Pete. I'm getting in your head early.
I know you are. You've got to go back to back. It's never been done before.
Hugo's Lounge. Stick with me, son. I'm a movie star in this town.
All right, guys, let's move on. Number 4. Jade Mitchell, Rowan Murdoch is one of the best domestic matchups of 2022, and I'm putting this up there because this week there's been a lot of banter going about, and I know Jade's been out of the ring for nearly 2 years, but he's back early next year apparently, and he wants the Murdoch fight, and Murdoch's responded. So what do you think, Pete?
I actually saw Jade Mitchell and his father Lenny at the No Limit show on last week, and he was at the press conference. We had a bit of a chat. Yeah, look, I think when Jade's up and running, there's no doubt he can hang with Ryan Murdoch. This will be a real good domestic fight. Surprised Jade won't take a tune-up bout because he did put on a lot of weight over the off-season. You were managing and promoting him as well, Lyndon, so you know him better than what I do. He's a great guy.
I also know what he weighs at the moment too, but we'll change the subject on that one.
He'll get himself into shape, and Lenny will whip him into shape, and I'm sure he's going to come and make a lot of noise because he's a real talented fighter, and he'll take off where he took off, where he left off.
Yeah, no, you're right. And Tazzy, one good thing about Jade, he wants all the big boys. He's been after Zach Dunn for the last probably 5 years. For one reason or another, hasn't happened. So you've got to respect the guy. He's been out for 2 years, but he's like, hey, if it's Rowan Murdoch or Bilal Akaway, bring it on, I'm ready.
Yeah, mate, Jade's a good guy. He's one of the nice guys in boxing. He's a very talented boxer. When he's in his zone, he's a very good mover, good counter puncher. Like that fight against the Russian down in your show there, Lyndon, a couple of years ago, mate. He boxed beautifully, and that was amazing. Why is he always? It sounds like he always blows up in between fights or layoffs. He's always had that problem, has he? Like he always puts on a lot of weight.
And he'll be the first to admit that, and it's probably been the one flaw of his career, and I'm sure he'll tell you that he's allowed himself to blow out between fights. So But, you know, I think the last fight showed that at that level you've got to be always around the mark and ready to go. And he learnt the hard way. He got beat by Zilli in a fight that he should have won, especially coming off.
I was there, Hungarian.
Yeah, especially
It
coming
wasn't
off
much in it either, though, was
No,
there?
I actually thought Jade won it, but that's
I
life.
thought he picked it. I got a shock. I got a shock that night that they raised the other bloke's hand, actually.
Well, I think after the fight with Kashanov, he was his career best performance. And if you talk to Jade, he'll tell you that, look, you know, he probably went into the fight, he wasn't prepared properly. He expected probably just to go through the motions and win the fight, and it blew up in his face a little bit. But one thing I like about him is, you know, he's now with no limit, which is a great move for his career.
Oh, is he? Is he really?
Yep. So he's with them. So hopefully, you know, next year he can start making some of these big fights and get an opportunity. Because let's face it, no one in Australia is going to give you as many opportunities as no limit. So I hope I haven't spilled the beans yet. I'm sure it'll be officially announced at some stage. But
I wonder why they flew him up there. I thought there must be something in it.
That's why Boxing Deep Dive's the best show in Australia. You get all the scoops.
We break the news, even if we're not supposed to.
And we talk it straight too. You know, we talk it straight talk.
Yeah, exactly.
No bullshit here. One thing about Peter Maniatis, he speaks it as it is.
That's the Greek in him. Don't mess with the Greeks. Last point. Let's move on. All right. Boxers should not let boxing become WWE. And I'm saying this because some of the promotions recently, and I'm just going to put one on here, which was Sean Porter. Now, I didn't actually record this. This is off YouTube, but it's got to the point where we've got the rappers coming out with these. I think he's actually a WWE guy as well. We've got the fireworks, and we've got all the bells and whistles. And we got to a point where it's just got to. Actually, while we're doing that, I'll put Tyson Fury up. He's probably the best example. Are we turning the WWE, or is this what we've got to get used to? I've just been an old fuddy-duddy, guys.
I don't mind a good entrance, Lyndon.
You don't mind this?
I don't mind a good entrance. I'm not going to knock people's entrance. I used to love Prince Azim Hamed, and I've done a bit like this in Tazzy as well. Like,
I should have expected you to love it.
What's that?
I should have expected you to love it. I've seen some of your walkouts.
Yeah, I love a flashy entrance. Look, I don't like the TikTokers, YouTubers fighting, but I don't mind an actual fighter having a good entrance. At least give him that entrance, you know what I mean? It's a bit of entertainment. The crowd love it. I've got nothing wrong with that. This isn't hurting the sport at all, unlike a lot of the other shit. Yeah. So I think this is all right. Allow their entrances. Azim Hamed was the king of it. No one's better than him, and I thought that was awesome. I don't know about Peter's view, but I don't mind the entrances.
Well, as Pete's talking, this, I've got to say, was a great entrance. This was last week's Team Tszyu card. Now, this is done with a bit of class, I thought. What did you reckon, Pete? You were there?
Yeah, who is that, Tim's?
I'll fast forward a bit here. This is Tim's entrance.
Yeah, it was a great entrance, and you saw the smoke and everything in there.
Now that is an entrance there. I mean, that was pretty cool. But look, as I said, Tazzy, I've probably been an old fuddy-duddy here. I know that, but I just long for the days where, you know, the Hagglers of the world would come out with the hands on the back of the shoulders of the trainer with a hood on, with a robe on, and just get in there and just get on with business. And I understand it's the way it is, and we all love. And I think the Pommies were probably the first ones to really start doing all these big flash walk-ins. I know the crowd love it, but I would just prefer, hey, walk out and let's just get on with it.
No, Lyndon, look, my father and grandfather used to say to me, can you just walk to the ring like we used to with the head down and the towel? I said, look, I'm not you guys. I've got a personality. I'm a bit of a showy, and I'm there to give the fans entertainment. So I was doing this back in 2001, mate, 2002, coming out with a 15-minute entrance or 20-minute entrance. I'm a massive fan of this. Prince Azim Hamed was doing it. The best. Mundine's done it in Australia. I'm a big fan of the entrances, mate. Put a bit of leopard shorts on. Hector Camacho come out being carried out by Cleopatra and the Romans. I love this sort of shit, mate.
What about you, Pete? I would see you as a bit of an old school type of guy, or do you like the new age entrances as well?
No, look, I'm an old school guy, no doubt about that. And look, a lot of the guys, they work out what they're doing with the entrance and all that. And I always say to the fighters that I've got, I don't care what you do, but I need you to switch on. Like, don't get caught up in this hype of going into the entrance, because once you get into the ring, that's where it all starts. So don't be flighty about this, because they're worrying about their song, their shorts, their this, their spot. Mate, you've got to be switched on. Because I used to like when a fighter used to come in the ring, he was sweating up a bit, head down. You like the towel over the head, back on the trainer's neck and all that type of stuff is focused for war. Well, some guys that come out there, everyone's different. It depends on the personality. I remember Randy Peddle-Corin. He's ready for a world title fight. It was on Top Rank's card. There's 20,000 Mercedes-Benz Arena in Shanghai. Bob Arum's there, Pacquiao's there, Algieri's there, Roach is there, everyone's there. And they had a Chinese rapper there. He's a famous Chinese rapper. And we lost Randy because we're waiting now to walk out. And I go, where's Randy? Randy's at the back listening to the music and dancing to it. And I said, hey, Randy, stop this mucking around. You've got to come out. Talo's going to try and punch your head in. Do you think this is a disco? So he was that relaxed that he actually had a dance to what the rapper was doing. So everyone's different. Randy won the fight. It didn't mean anything.
And you're right. I mean, and one example is what we just watched there is Tyson Fury versus Wilder. Now, Wilder tried it in the second fight with the big gear on and all the rest of it. Ended up blowing up in his face and totally distracted him from the job at hand. Whereas then you get Tyson Fury in this fight, comes out, he shook me all night long. He's got the Spartan gear on. You could tell it didn't faze him whatsoever. So, yeah, you're right. I'm just old school.
I'm going to say three words for you. Prince Nazim Hamed. It's all you need to know about entrances.
Give me Marvelous Marvin Hagler any day, mate. Coming out with the hood on, hands over the shoulders and just walk.
Lyndon, that's what I heard you were like in Bendigo, mate, as an amateur. Very serious.
I'm getting old now, mate, so it's all good. All right.
Mike Tyson had
Tyson didn't even have a robe on. No socks, just
come straight out.
Well, when he fought Spinks, he had...
Horses for courses, boys.
I know.
Horses for courses.
But when Tyson fought Spinks, he had noise was his background. It was just chains rattling in the background. That's what he thought. But anyway, we've got to move on. We're way over time at the moment. We're going to go for... I was going to say everyone's probably second favourite segment. It's a bit of redemption this week. Who won last week, by the way? This is the quiz I'm talking about, of course.
Tazzy.
Yeah, well, it wasn't last week. It was the week before because Peter was MIA in Sydney.
The week before.
Peter was being a rock star ringside at the Zoo fight.
Yeah, Pete didn't want to back up. He wanted to skip a week so he could get back on track.
I wanted you to think about it for a week, Tazzy. Just made you wait.
All right, well, we've got 10 questions. One of them is who am I at the end of it. When I say the question, call out your name. If I say your name, you're first. As I've explained in the past, there is a bit of a time delay sometimes from your end. So rest assured, trust me, if I call the opposing person's name, it's not because I don't like you. It's because they were first. If you get it wrong, the other person gets a free crack at it. There's no going back. You get one crack and one crack only. Here we go. Aussie questions first. Number one, what is the professional record of Justice Huni?
Peter!
Tazzy!
Yes, Peter.
5 and zip.
He is. 5 and zip. Exactly. Had them in quick succession too. Number two, you should know this one, I reckon, Tazzy. Apart from Russian, what other nationality is in Costa Tszyu's heritage?
Tazzy!
Peter!
Yes, Tazzy.
Korean,
yes. And I think Mongolian as well, a little bit as well, but mainly Korean from obviously his dad's side. Number three, who did Jason Maloney lose to in his first attempt at a world title?
Peter!
Tazzy!
Peter.
Rodriguez.
First name?
Adrian Rodriguez.
No, incorrect. You got a free crack at it, Tazzy.
Yeah, Luis Rodriguez.
Nah, Emmanuel Rodriguez was his name. Close decision. Lost the first 6 rounds and then won the last 6 rounds, and very unlucky, I thought. Number four. Yeah. What fight was the main event on the first Fennec Nelson card in Las Vegas?
Peter!
Tazzy!
Peter? What fight was the main event on that card?
Mike Tyson, Razor Ruddock.
Which one?
2.
Yes, correct. Tyson Ruddock 2 was the main event. Number 5, so that's 2-1. Number 5, how old was Mike Tyson when he won his first heavyweight belt?
Peter!
Tazzy!
Peter?
20.
20 years old, correct. Come on, Tazzy. 3-1. Into the international questions. What Olympics did Roy Jones Jr. get robbed?
Tazzy.
Peter?
So,
was
1988.
88 is correct. He was in there, Tazzy. Number 7. What year was a Hagler-Leonard fight?
Peter!
Tazzy. Hagler-Leonard.
86.
Incorrect. Pete?
1985.
Incorrect. 1987. April 1987.
Hagler. I thought you said
Hagler-Leonard.
Hagler-Hearn.
No, Hagler-Leonard.
Oh, Hagler.
Yep,
I
87.
thought Hagler-Hearn. Yeah, that was 87.
Yep. So
I'm hearing
that's
things.
3-2, I think it is.
4-1.
No,
4-1.
Oh, you got it wrong. Sorry, 4-1. All right.
Yeah.
So 4-1. Number 8. What boxer had the nickname the Blade?
Peter!
Peter.
What?
Iran Barkley.
Fuck off.
Iran Barklay. Come on, Tate. Watch it
Fucking
back.
bullshit.
You'll see what I'm getting at. Peter was first.
I will be watching it, mate. Don't worry.
5-1. I think we're gonna have to look. I think we're gonna have to can the quiz the way we're going. It's not ending well.
No way. No way. No way. I love this competitive spirit. Tazzy,
All right.
come on.
Well, I'm sick of
Get
the
mouth
abuse
going
here.
in, buddy.
I'm in this. I'm bullied. You know, in this day and age, I'm offended. I'm being bullied here by you guys. Number 9.
It's all good, man. Hey, get on TikTok, mate. Get on TikTok.
Number 9.
Oh, you better not have any TikTok accounts, Tazzy. I'm going to Google TikTok Tazzy soon.
All right.
I'll
here
be
we
very
go.
dismayed. I've been tempted to open them up myself, but I'm thinking Tazzy will kill me. I better not. So I better
right.
not see you opening either.
All right. Well, was that 6-1. It's all over. But anyway, let's hope Tazzy.
No, 5. Yeah, 5.
5-1.
5-1. All right. What belt was Pernell Whitaker's first world title win?
Tazzy.
Peter.
IBF.
Which one?
Lightweight.
Yep, lightweight. Yep. What a rout tonight, Tazzy. You all right there, mate? You're a bit distracted there.
No, mate. If you pick up when I say my name, it'll be good.
Watch it back and you'll see. All right, this is one for you. Here we go. Who am I? I was born on April 8th, 1982. After a stellar amateur career that culminated in a silver medal at the 2004 Olympics, I turned pro in 2006.
Tazzy.
Peter!
Tazzy.
Andre, Triple G.
I'll give it to you just because it doesn't matter, but yeah, it's a Triple G.
Gennady Golovkin.
Yeah, so Gennady Golovkin. So there you go. That was an
Top
absolute.
pick, Tazzy.
That was a
Top
fizzer.
pick, mate.
That was worth 2. That was worth 2.
I'll give you 3. You're still
No, I
lost.
agree.
All good,
You know
guys.
what it
Look,
is, Tazzy? No one can go back to back. I'm going to lose next week.
Yeah.
That's how
No
it is.
shoeies tonight. No shoeies tonight.
No, sure is.
I'll be losing next week. Don't worry. No one goes back to back.
That's a pretty tough one. But look, so thanks, guys, for the show tonight. Special thanks to Glen Jennings for coming and give us some great insight onto Team Tszyu 3. Plenty of going on. Make sure you check out all the action on the Aussie boxing scene this weekend. There's plenty going on, and obviously, especially the Kambosos fight on Sunday. So, best of luck to George Kambosos. Hopefully, he brings those belts home and does Australia proud.
Let's go, Georgie. Let's go, George.
Plenty more.
Ferocious Kambosos.
So, all the best. All right, thanks, guys. We've had a massive show tonight. Really appreciate you being on. Hopefully, you sleep all right tonight, Tazzy, for next week. Make sure you
Thanks
watch
for
the
the
replay.
quiz, Tazzy. You're a champion,
On
mate.
your
You're
feet.
very hard to beat.
On your feet. Good on you, Pete. I'll see you at Keilor, Pete. I'll see you at Keilor Entertainment Centre.
Yeah, all right. See you, boys.
Thanks, fellas.